Okay. Well, I'm a Rudy Garns. I'm an associate professor here. I've been here since 1989, so quite a few years. I'm now the coordinator for the philosophy program. Project-wise, one of our big projects is the planned travel to Greece. We're going to be doing a course in the spring. My colleague Nancy Hancock and I. She'll be doing the teaching of the course. It's a course in Greek philosophy. We'll probably talk about some pre-Socratic, some Plato, Socrates, maybe a little Aristotle. And then the idea is at the end of the semester to take the students on a 2-week travel to Greece, where we can actually see the sites. We'll see where Socrates was, where he was tried, the prison cell he stayed in. And we'll see a little bit about the places in Greece. So we're looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Nancy Hancock. I'm in philosophy at Northern Kentucky University. I've been here since 2000, so that's 14 years so far. I went to undergraduate school at Illinois State University and started taking philosophy classes as a first-year student. And one of the things I realized pretty early on is that philosophy is an excellent major for pre-law. And at that time, I thought that I was going to go to law school. But instead, I got into philosophy and I really enjoyed it a lot. And so I ended up being a philosophy major and loved it so much I went off to graduate school. And now I have the pleasure of being able to teach it. So that's what got me into philosophy to begin with. When I took a position at another university, one of the things that I was expected to teach on a regular basis, actually I think every fall, was history of ancient philosophy. So classical Greek philosophy, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, those guys. And shortly after I got there, we also hired a classicist who was in my department, and that got me thinking, wouldn't it be fantastic if we could actually go to Greece, go to where Socrates was, go to where Plato was, go to the Agora, where these philosophers gathered and talked about everything and shared their ideas and constructed arguments and discovered theories, philosophies about how the world works. Wouldn't it be wonderful and an amazing experience if we could go there and talk philosophy in the prison where Socrates drank the hemlock? And so I started talking with the classicist, and he was definitely interested in going too. So we put our heads together, and pretty soon we had a group of about 12 students going with us to Greece.
We can certainly see Greek philosophy as almost the start of modern Western philosophy. We have, of course, a rich tradition going back to the ancient Greeks, prior to Socrates, where they were doing something as a mixture of science and philosophy at the time. So they saw themselves as asking some big questions about causation and the origin of things and the nature of things. And then, of course, Socrates comes on the scene, and in some ways seen as the first philosopher, perhaps. But actually, his revolution was to turn things to a more human kind of point of view. He was asking ethical questions and moral questions and questions about human nature. So he was no longer sort of just thinking about the speculative, metaphysical kinds of pre-scientific kinds of questions. He was asking more human kinds of questions. And then everybody, of course, knows his student, Plato was his student, and starts the academy there, and of course following him Aristotle is also very important. So it's a very important time in Western philosophy. I think it sets the groundwork, and in many ways what we're doing today sort of very much owes a debt to those philosophers. Many of the same themes come up, many of the same concepts are being used. I mean, it's very much the same kinds of questions are being asked. So yeah, Greek philosophy is very important.
Well, one of the most important things I thought for myself and my students to experience when we were in Greece was to go to the Agora, the old marketplace, the ancient marketplace in Athens, which is where the courthouse was, where Socrates stood trial, and it's also where the prison was, where Socrates was imprisoned and ultimately drank the hemlock. It is the stage for many of Plato's dialogues. If you ever read any of Plato's dialogues, like the Euthyphro, the Crito, they take place in the Agora. And so I felt that actually holding class in the Agora would bring that experience of Socrates' trial to life for the students. They could actually feel what it was like to be there, possibly be able to imagine ancient civilization in Greece at the time when Socrates lived. So that was one of the top things on my list.
Yeah, this will be our first go at a study abroad course in our department, in our philosophy program. I've traveled a little bit in the past. I went with the study abroad group to London in mid-90s. I didn't teach anything, I just sort of traveled along with them and got to share in some of that. And I was very inspired by that. In recent year, actually this past summer, I traveled twice. Once to Belize, where I traveled with one of my anthropology colleagues. He's running an ethnographic field school in Orange Walk town. And that was a 3-week course. And I traveled along as kind of the administrator in charge, not really doing any teaching, but it was really a lot of fun to see the students working and learning and see what happened there. And then this summer, Nancy Hancock and I traveled to Greece for a week, just to get a sense of what we could ask students to do, what there was to see, and where the lodgings would end up being, and so forth. And she had been there before, but I had not. So it was a lot of fun and very enlightening to sort of go to all the special places, and the museums are wonderful, and you're actually sort of walking in the places where Socrates would have walked. So very exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think in part the importance of traveling abroad is especially significant for Americans who we live in a huge country. Although we're a melting pot, still we're fairly homogenous, right? We have a uniform culture. We can travel for days by car and not get to another country. But when you're in Europe, when you're in the Middle East, when you're in a foreign country, it doesn't take that long to get to another country. We have pretty much a single language here that we speak, and everybody speaks it wherever we go. Probably the most eye-opening experience for me the first time I traveled abroad was the day we landed in Greece, in Athens. And we took the day to just wander the marketplace, the Plaka district, which is the main shopping district in downtown Athens. And I walked into a little store, and the storekeeper greeted me in English and said, "Hi, how are you? Can I get anything for you?" And I said, "No, I'm fine, I'm just looking." And it didn't, I didn't think anything of it. The next thing I know, I heard the same shopkeeper greet somebody in French, just fluent French. And then I heard her greet somebody in German. And then I heard her speaking Greek. And I thought, oh my gosh, I just speak English. What's up with this? And the number of different languages that are spoken abroad is really impressive. It does make an impression on you when you hear around you just all these different languages.
I think what students will find is well, first of all, there's always the interaction with other cultures, which no matter what you're doing, what course you're taking, there's, I think, a huge benefit into sort of living around people of a different culture, of a different place. So that'll be a great benefit to them. I think there's another benefit that comes from study abroad in terms of just the kinds of decision making that you have to make. You have to sort of be thinking ahead, which when you're in your comfort zone, living at home in your local environment, you don't always have to do so much. But when you're in a different country, you got to be thinking about what you're going to be having for dinner and where that's going to be and how you're going to tip the waiter and and how you're going to get from here to there and how much time you have. It's not complicated, but it does force you to think ahead a little bit, which I think is always a good lesson.
Well, first of all, the cost of travel is only going to keep going up. It's only going to get more expensive. If you don't do it now when you're in college, when are you going to do it? When you graduate from college, you're going to get a job. You're going to be working full time. You have to save up vacation. You're going to be buying a house. You're going to be investing in things. You're going to be paying off student loans. When are you going to have a chance to do this again? And with the kind of freedom that you will have when you study abroad during your college education and with your friends. What better time to do it?
Yeah, I think it is essential. I think today especially, I mean, maybe the word essential sounds too strong, but I'm not sure it is too strong today. You know, the world is in a sense shrinking. We live in a global society. We're interacting all the time with peoples of other cultures, whether it be on the internet or other sorts of media. And more we're interacting with them in our everyday lives. I mean, people moving here, we might be traveling there. I just think it's a good idea to remind yourself that in a foreign country, you're the one that has the accent. That also it reminds you what it must be like for someone coming here from a different country and having to confront the challenges and the novelties and the changes from what they're used to. So I just think that's a good thing to have encountered at least once in your life, if not more often. And you get to learn a lot about the different ways of thinking about things and understanding things.
The feeling you get when you're standing on the Acropolis in Athens and you're looking around and you realize that this is older than any building you've ever been in your life. That this building, the Parthenon, is thousands of years old. Not just hundreds, but thousands of years old. And you see the worn marble that are the pathways around the Acropolis, and you imagine the ancient Greeks also walking the same marble pathways. And as you're walking up the stairs to the Propylaea, which is the entranceway to the Acropolis, and you think about all the people who for thousands of years have made the same hike up those stairs onto the Acropolis, it really is awe-inspiring. And then once you're up there and you look out and across at Athens, that's just this huge, sprawling urban city. There's nothing that can express the feeling you have when you see that.
Plenty of opportunity, and I really think every student should do this at least one time in their college career. I just think it may well be the best thing you do in your college career. I would almost bet it'd be the most memorable thing you do in your college career. So I would encourage everybody to think about it.